prior to this.
Yes, prior to this. Welcome.
Ken booked you.
Welcome.
Ken booked you. I didn't.
I totally jumped the shark on, I think, starting. Anyway, this is Geeky Gamer Podcast.
Yeah, you did.
Tonight with Faith McQuinn.
Every time.
I'm going to just blow right through this.
Just
Thanks
go
to
right
all our
through it,
case
man.
letters and Mr. Interrupt for the score. To all our Patreon members, you are the best people ever, in my opinion.
The best?
Tim Roberts, Daniel Hulker, Nostalgic, Natalia Cline. Become a best person ever with Patreon /DreadLore. Maybe someday we'll have one for the Geeky Gamer Podcast.
Maybe.
How Much Fire Media does the art and media production, as well as Trois Reblay Productions does a whole bunch of other stuff that we're not going to.
We're not really sure what it does, though.
Definitely not sure. Tonight, Faith McQuinn, awesome writer, very, very good guest to have. Stoked that she can make it. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thank you for
having. I'm sure we were halfway through the disclaimer when I just kind of went for it, and so Faith didn't get the joy of a disclaimer before starting. So we're just gonna wing it, and hopefully everybody will be happy.
We always wing it, Ken. That is all this is, winging it.
just winging it. Did you have anything to say for yourself before we get started, Bill?
For myself? No. Hey, Faith.
Yeah.
What I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by Ken was, sorry about the message that I sent you when I was like, hey, is this so-and-so from some random website? Because I thought that I booked you. I didn't. Okay. You know Ken. Ken booked you. And I was like, what? So that's what that was about. Oops. Right. Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I do the writing thing, as Ken said. Like, that's been I actually went to grad school for film. There's a funny I'm just gonna start with a funny story. Forget who I am. You're gonna get the story to start.
Stories.
So when I was at Western, Ken and I went to school together. I had all intents of going to grad school for film. Like, that's what I was going to do. I was going to go for screenwriting. That's the thing. I was in undergrad just to get to graduate school. Who cares? So I was applying to all these schools to get into screenwriting programs. And I asked one of my English teachers, if she would write a recommendation letter for Chapman University, which is where I ended up going. And she flat out told me she wouldn't, because she thought I was a bad writer.
Oh.
And that shook me so much. I changed my major. I changed my focus to editing. So when I went to film school, I did editing instead of screenwriting. I took screenwriting classes, but instead of it being my focus, I did editing, which was a 3-year program versus a 2-year program. So thanks to that teacher, I have more debt. But
you should find that teacher.
I really should. I wish I could remember her name.
Tell them what's up.
But I ended up, the career editing was probably a good thing, because I have been was a freelance editor for 20 some odd years. And now I work as a writer and editor and make podcasts and films and do all that stuff. So I actually get to use my film degree. It's amazing.
It's interesting. I mean, I know Ken has questions because you guys know each other and haven't seen each other for a long time, but I'm going to talk first. So you did editing instead of screenwriting, although because you've been, basically browbeaten into it.
Yeah, right? I know.
But editing is I'm going to say some stuff, just disagree if you disagree. Editing is a more technical thing.
Oh, very.
So I went to art school, and in art school, you likely don't learn anything except how to make lattes, okay? One of the things that I wished that I had learned, or maybe the program had been more regimented in learning the mechanics of painting or the mechanics of the process.
Yeah.
being much more technical, because then like I can do art on my own. Like as in learning the technicalities or the technical aspect of something seems very useful.
Oh, quite. Like, I think what got me into editing, besides the fact that it's very much like writing, I'm still to this day trying to explain to my mother what I do. When I show her things, she's like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "That. The reason you see it on screen is because I did it. Like the editing is because you see it." So like getting into that and figuring out storytelling in a visual manner as opposed to writing it was a very cool thing for me. And yes, learning the technicality of why this edit makes you feel this way makes it a lot easier to be artistic with the process of editing, because I know what story I'm trying to tell, so I can achieve it through the edit.
Yeah, someone, I don't know, it's probably an Instagram thing, but this is long before Instagram that was told me. You got to learn the rules before you can break them, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I came into filmmaking, editing, acting, et cetera, without knowing any rules, which there is a benefit to that. I think Orson Welles has a whole thing about his success is because he didn't know any rules, so he didn't know he was breaking any rules.
Right.
But I think there's another side to that. Like, truly, it's one of the things I really respect about Ken is we worked on a couple short films together, and his knowledge of the technical aspect of film is so deep. You know, he knows what can be achieved. So do you think that this teacher, should you thank them or slap them? Or both?
At the time, I wanted to be like, well, I thank you. Once I graduated and was working, I was like, I should thank you. But no, screw that teacher, because I am a good writer. And I would have gotten better at it in school had I done the screenwriting program. It took me, like, I don't think I was ever a bad writer, but I'm definitely far better than I was. And it took reading more books, taking more classes, teaching classes on screenwriting to get better at it. So yeah. And now people hire me, so.
I think personally, I think you were robbed, because looking back on film school, for me, like, I wish film school was English class, because I learned editing not because my teachers taught me how to edit. I sat down and I learned it. I mean, maybe some people need to be guided through it, but you know, writing and technique, just like in art school, you know, if you're not doing stuff physically, I guess it doesn't matter anymore with AI, but but still, I mean, and the same with writing. If you have Chat GPT, I mean, it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, but it's not any good.
Yeah, it's exactly.
You know, I can make it good. Good.
But because you have the skill already is why you can make it good.
Yeah.
Like, all AI should be a tool we use, not a replacement for what we do. I mean, because I use AI when I'm editing. Like, I have definitely removed stuff from a photo or from video because I needed to take it out, but it didn't, like, I didn't go in and say, hey, make this video for me. Like, that stresses me out when I kind of like all those like old film reworks of trailers. I'm like, these are cool, but they're really not, because all they did was plug stuff in and tell them to do it, and I'm just
Were you in the film program at Western, or was that after you? You were in the film
I
minor?
was in the film program. Film minor. Yeah, the minor before it became a full-blown program. Yeah.
See, I was jealous of that program, because you got probably to write more. You got to talk about film. Because like film school for me, you didn't talk about film. I mean, there might have been one class where, like, in the course of a long period of time, we might, you know, talk about spaghetti westerns and a couple of different films, but then you know, it wasn't beyond seeing, okay, this is a wide shot, medium shot, and a close-up shot, and then move on. It wasn't about. And did you get that? And I would imagine you got that in the film program at Western, and then
I got a little bit of it and way more at grad school. I took grad
school.
Yeah, I took film studies classes for that. Like we were required to take one film studies class, but I took 4 because I was like, I know a lot of people talk about overanalyzing films ruins films for you. And I was like, it only ruins bad films. Like if I'm sitting in a movie and I'm all of a sudden looking at the shot and judging the color and doing all that, I'm not watching the movie anymore. And I did that today. I watched Only God Forgives. I've been wanting to watch it for a long time. It has the most beautiful cinematography ever, but the story is shit. I'm sorry. It's like so bad. But I was like, oh man, Ryan Gosling, he looks really good in that blue light. Like I was completely paying attention to the lighting and the cinematography, and I didn't care one bit about the story. And I was like, yeah, that's not how that should work. But I will steal some shots from this movie because it's gorgeous. And
we're watching. I got the trailer going on. It seems like a dark Wes Anderson film.
Yeah, it's very neo noir.
Is it A24?
It's not. It's
oh my
I see
gosh.
blues and
Same
reds. So.
director as Drive that Ryan Gosling did as well.
Am I still sharing my screen? You might be able to watch what we're seeing if there might be a watch stream function.
I can see it. Yeah.
All right, cool. But yeah, so to me it looks like a dark, gritty Wes Anderson film, just the way it's shot. Except for it's not in 4:3. I mean, that's the only difference.
Yeah.
It's very balanced. It's very cinematic, and I had never heard of it before. And we'll get a copyright strike for playing it. But yeah, it's great. It's perfect.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But the story is crap.
So I have a few notes, and I'll be making notes the entire night. There'll be a test. Eventually I want Boolean only. Eventually I want to know about your current projects, but before that,
okay.
I have written down twice now how to critique. Okay, this is a big question. Because people that didn't go to school, as in, I don't mean university, I mean like film school, art school, these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I posit that they don't know how to critique, and nor do they know how to take or receive critique. They don't understand at all what it's about. When it comes to film, I don't know if I know what it's about, so I would love your perspective on that, and I think it's going to be pretty much you and Ken talking.
Okay, so
and I'm gonna drink this bourbon, so continue.
Oh, wonderful. So when I'm critiquing something, because I spent years and years as a screenwriting teacher, and I write first. Editing is my day job, but my superhero job is writing. I'm really looking at story. I'm looking at story development, of character development. I've always lived by the idea that if I don't care about the characters, your story isn't working. Like, even if I hate them, it's some sort of emotion I'm having for these characters. I have got to be somewhat invested in what they are doing. And if I am not, then the story's not working. So that's what I'm looking at when I'm watching movies, when I want to know, am I rooting for this character? Do I care what happens to this character? Is this character going through conflict? What is the purpose of this story? What am I supposed to feel? But I think I'm to the point of subconsciously thinking about it. So I'm not thinking about it while the movie's going. So when the movie's over, I can go back and be like, this is why I liked this, and this is why this worked, and da 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 da.
Do you think knowing history outside of the film is important, and why?
It depends on the film, really. Some films get me to look up the stuff, like what brought this story on, why did the director go here for this, and sometimes I know it going in because that's why I'm seeing it, because I'm excited about that part of it. And like with Only God Forgives, I wanted to see this because I'd seen Drive. I was like, I really love the cinematography, I love the story of Drive, I want to see how Ryan Gosling does with this director.
Is it the same director?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Same writer, same director.
Same writer, same director.
And I think this one was first. I think this was before Drive. And
No,
you
Drive.
can
It looks
tell
like it was
Drive was
2011.
first. Wow.
So
Because I would have
Drive
said it.
is,
The Drive was more polished.
yeah.
It had a
Sometimes,
better look.
I mean, but you know, he does the first one. He's got a lot of time. He puts his heart and soul into it. Puts 5 years into making it.
yeah.
The next film happened 2 years later, so they turned around and made that second one really fast.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. You know, this film, it doesn't have. It's not as arty. It might have some
Oh,
cool
it's not
shots,
even. Yeah.
but
It's almost like he needed to get this movie done so he could have the money to do the movie he wanted to
Yeah.
do.
yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
Only God Forgives feels far more like a personal project
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Is this also? Are they both Ryan Gosling? Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. Huh.
So you guys are talking a little bit above my head, which I expected. As in, I can follow the conversation, but there's some things that I think are assumed. They're in parenthetical. So how to unpack that? Okay. Talking about one of the films looks like a personal project. I'm assuming you're talking about Only If God Forgives.
Yes.
Why does it look that way? Or how does it look that way?
Okay, for a person who is not a film critic, it looks like a student art film with a big budget. I am not trying to be mean about it, but that is how it feels. That is exactly how it feels.
It's not me.
It is all of these amazingly incredible shots that are poetry, but it's poetry that the writer of the screenplay got. And he was the only one who got it. And probably the actors got it after he sat down and explained it to them.
Sure.
But
But they
since
probably-
that,
When they shot this, the actors were like, "What are you doing?" And it
Yeah.
involved a lot of trust, I'm sure. And like, "Oh, I
Yes.
need you to walk like this. You need to walk this many inches away from the wall. You need to like do
Yeah.
like that." It's probably very technical to get them to move, and there were probably multiple takes where they're like, "You gotta redo this because you were just off a little bit, just because the symmetry is something else." I feel like I totally
crazy.
talked over you.
Oh no, but that's what this looks like. And every shot is like perfectly posed and perfectly lit. And there are moments. So my husband came in when I was watching it and he thought I'd paused it. Like Ryan Gosling is just sitting against a wall and he's just staring. And it's like 30 seconds. And I know to some people 30 seconds is a lot, but if you're in film or in video editing, 30 seconds is a lifetime to be on one shot. And he doesn't move, he doesn't talk, and he's just staring. And it's just like, that wouldn't be even in a high art film, that is not a normal shot. That is not something you would normally see.
Unless
So
you're
you
watching
know that this was
Ghost.
straight up, they
What
gave
is-
me money, they said I could do what I want. I'm doing what I want.
So one of my actor director buddies knows everything about movies, at least from my perspective. Granted, I don't know much about movies. And he said that his favorite movie was Eraserhead. I
Oh, good.
fucking hate that movie, okay? Now, the best part of that movie is the end.
Spoiler alert.
And the reason is because actually I like the last shot. And in my mind, it lasts for like 35 minutes. It's probably not that long. But the very last shot of the movie is the poster of the movie.
Yeah.
Right? And what you just said reminds me of it. So I can forgive Eraserhead for being Eraserhead because of the last 3 minutes or whatever it is that shot is. It's interesting. I look at TV. So I watch Star Trek.
Yay.
Well, you
I'm that
sat
way.
through the
I'm
end,
that way.
by the way, just to slow the conversation
that's
down
it.
before you move
Yeah.
forward. You know, you sat to the end to get it.
No, I
it
fast
required-
forwarded through the entire movie.
Oh.
And it was a DVD, so I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Check it out. Why is he aging? Apparently, it took him like 8 years or something to make that movie.
Mhm.
Like a ridiculous amount of time. It may not be 8 years, but it's a long time. And like they age. And at the very end, that scene is so long that I was like, huh, that's really cool. Hey, that's really cool. That's the best part of the movie. And I never watched it again. I don't think there's any words in it.
I think that's David Lynch, though. I mean, anytime you introduce him into something, he's like, what? Like, I think I saw some clip that went viral or some clip he was in. He's like, his producers would get mad at him. Like, it's too long. It's way too long. You need to and he wants you to live in it. He wants you to feel that tension because I'm guessing time is that. What do you think about David Lynch? Is that?
Have you seen David Lynch's short film called Blue?
No.
It's Blue. I'm not sure how long it is, but it is a short film, and the entire film is a blue screen.
Yeah, I was gonna write it down, and then
you don't
with my blue pen, it's blue.
It's just blue, and I don't remember if I saw it in grad school or somebody showed it to me, but somebody I really feel like it was Western because I feel like it's something Corey had in the back of his closet or something. But it's honestly just a screen, and you hear everything, so it's like it's an audio thing. But the whole idea was that this guy only sees in blue, so you're always seeing it from his POV.
It's not on YouTube.
Oh man, I would love to be able to find that because I've only seen it once. It wasn't that long. It was probably like a 10-minute thing, but I'm still like, you made this. That's amazing.
So that sounds like when I was coming up in art school, again, I was in the digital media program because this is in the middle 2000s. So graphic design, nobody talked about it anymore, right? Now it's digital media.
Yeah.
And I don't even think there was a film department or program at the University of Kentucky at that time. If it was, it was fledgling. And I think people didn't know what to do, right? So here's my question for you. What distinguishes cinema from art film from etc.? Because some of this seems like an installation piece, which often uses video, right?
Yeah.
Or a video artist is not making movies per se.
Right.
How do you distinguish this, and what are your thoughts on it?
I honestly think that if you're making a film, like we're going in to watch this film with a screenplay, I think there's a screenplay. I think that's the part that really somebody sat down, wrote those words, or even if it's no dialogue, wrote the thing down, and this is how we're going to shoot it, and this is the blueprint for the finished product. And then an installation piece with video is, this is the thought, this is the emotion I'm having. It's painting with video, or sculpting with video. I don't think that there's some script sitting over here guiding you. It is completely emotional based and pushing it that way, about this is the thing I want to make, and this is the brush I'm using, and it just happens to be a camera.
So what would perhaps this is just a problem of naming convention or nomenclature. Art film.
Art house.
I think art house film is just indie. Like that's where we are. It's like when you don't have any money. Like people just make.
Yeah, but you do have money though, right?
You have some money. I think that's an interesting thing.
I mean, $200,000 is some money. I could do a lot with $200,000.
Like crap money for making a feature film, which is an interesting thing when I've been making films for like, $500.
Yeah.
That's what you can get. But honestly, you're still calling in a bazillion favors. There are people doing stuff for free, and if you were actually paying them all, you would be pushing into six figures.
Sure.
And I taught classes on production, and I would give them real budgets for them. Like I'll be like, you raised $10,000, you have to make this movie. Tell me how you're going to pay everybody. Make sure that you can, if you're going on location, make sure that you pay for them to drive there. And if it's long, you have to pay for them to sleep there. So it was a matter of like, see how fast money can be spent. And when people freak out, they're like, you need $10,000 to make that. And I was like, that $10,000 is gone already. Like, I've already spent it and I haven't even paid myself yet. So it's like one of those things where I think art house is more about the production company than the film itself.
Oh,
It's
expand on that, please.
okay. So A24 is an art house, still is, even though they have budgets that are far bigger than we would think about art house in like the 90s. But if you talk about an A24 film, you know what type of film you're getting because that's the type of film that production company makes. Different genres, different writers, different directors, different all this stuff, but you know that it's going to be this certain type of movie because that's what they do. You wouldn't say that about Warner Brothers. You wouldn't say that about Paramount. They just do stuff. So that's not art house. That doesn't feel like A24 is over here cultivating.
What about Disney in the 90s, we'll say?
No, not even then. Because like, I think you could almost...
A better example would be, what about like the film Magnolia? Would you call that art house?
I would actually. And these are and wasn't that Miramax?
That was a pretty.
Was
big
that Miramax? But
yeah,
I think that was, and Miramax was Disney's art house, like side hustle.
Okay.
So like they would have like a thing over here. I would almost say it's like an auteur thing, like when we talk about film auteurs that Burton. Pre Big Eyes, no Big Fish, pre Big Fish, Burton had a look. Like you could look at a film and know that Burton did that film. I don't think that's as true anymore. He's kind of expanded, but he definitely had a look before. Wes Anderson absolutely 100% has a look. Like every Wes Anderson film has that look. And I think that when you're talking film auteur, you can say that about art house. Like they take it in, like, I don't know. It's like a network of film.
So it's like art house itself is the artist.
Yeah.
Like the production company is the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, Tom Cruise is in this movie, and so
that's
like
wild.
It's and it's got all these huge names at the time. Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm not great with names and faces, but they all start singing together at a certain point. They're frogs. It's really epic budget wise.
Spoilers, Ken. Come on.
I mean, I didn't say what the frogs.
Is it John C. Reilly? Is he in that movie?
Yeah, John C. Reilly is in it. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's in the movie.
So it's a massively large budget, but people consider it art house because it's just I mean, there's a frog in the trailer, so I mean, I don't feel like I've given anything away.
Like the budget is big because they had to pay all these people. Like all the money went to paying the actors. Like none of the money was in the sets in the like I mean, they were like, oh, all the money's
amazing sets. You know, there's
when did that come out? Was that 99? When was that?
Probably 90.
96, 95, somewhere in there. I think prior to 97. I feel like I was still in high school when this came out.
So everyone was not in it, but a lot of people were in it.
There's
a few people that were big at that time.
And then like all these people showed up for Boogie. Like you got all these people back for Boogie Night.
But it was art house for the time because it's certainly out of the, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't a traditional story, I guess.
Right.
It wasn't meant for the masses. It was like somebody thought it was, oh, this is kitschy or gonna be unique or weird or, you know, to be weird.
How does, since you both have been in this industry for a while, and I know, Ken, I know probably what you're gonna say, but I still want to hear it. Okay, so art house seems like the artist that sold out or that had rich parents, or how the fuck are they making movies that aren't for the masses and they're getting seen? How does that happen? How do you achieve what A24 has achieved? Because A24 movies are good, but some of them suck.
It's right time. That's literally what it is. It is right place, right time.
So luck or fortune, you might say.
I would say that it's luck to get in the position, it's talent to stay in the position. So you could luck out and make that one film, but if it's crap, you're not doing it again. Unless you're Sofia Coppola. I didn't actually say that out loud.
That's a whole thing with Sofia Coppola. Yeah, but she's got the nepotism going on.
Oh, like strong, like Coppola family is.
Then again,
freaking Hollywood royalty.
Dude, then again, she wasn't. I really can't knock the woman.
Virgin Suicides is good.
Oh, it's amazing.
Did you like Lost in Translation?
I did, and I know I'm like one of like 10 people. People did not like that movie.
I'm there. Lost in Translation is a beautiful movie. It's inspiring. I think Sofia Coppola is all right, and as in amazing. She didn't want to be in Godfather 3, y'all.
Oh no,
she didn't want to do it.
She just, we don't have to see her act ever again. But I will still stand by being pissed off that she was like the second female director to get an Oscar nomination. Like, I don't even know why that makes me grumpy, but it makes me grumpy. I was like, why is it her? Of all the people. Like, why? Yes, Lost in Translation is amazing, but damn it. I didn't want that. I didn't want it.
But I mean, a lot of things have to go right. You know, this is a filmmaker. A lot of things have to go right in a lot of different ways. And it's like you have to have big backing, and it doesn't get much bigger than her father.
Right.
And
when you can call in favors to like when your godfather is Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I know that people whine about nepotism, but seriously, if I had it, hell yeah, I'm playing.
Well, you'd use it. Yeah, that's the thing, is you use what you got. Ken, what is your opinion on that? On
I experienced it. I mean, when I was working, when Disney bought Marvel, and I was sitting in the chair next to the director's kid, he got the call immediately to be in the union. I never got that call, even though I was sitting behind him. Kind of the doing the back re-editing half the stuff they did because it didn't make any sense the way it was done. Cleaning it up. It's not. Nobody ever called me about that. And even years later, I mean, it wasn't until more recently that I think the Animators Guild even got a union. It didn't exist because I would have been in that guild. I think the Editors Guild looked down on animation, and so it wasn't an option to join that guild versus.
Faith, what do you think about that?
No, I agree, because they wouldn't. I mean, if we're getting into unions and guilds and stuff, IATSE, IATSE, for those who don't know, is like, that's the everybody guild. Like, that's why they're fighting so hard, because it's like, basically, if you're on a set and your crew is below the line, that's the union they're in.
What does that mean, below the line, for the non-talent?
So if we want to get like super technical, when you're watching a movie and you see the opening credits, the names in the opening credits are above the line people. So producers, directors, writers, actors, and then below the line, the people are all the people, those like 500, 600,000 names you see at the end are all below the line.
Right.
So those are the crew. Those are the people who work when people whine about like, oh, Hollywood shouldn't go on strike. I was like, those people at the end, those are the people who are getting screwed over and not getting paid.
So it's salary versus hourly, right? Or is it always
they're probably all on salary.
Oh, they're all on salary.
But it's like independent contractor kind of salary. Like union sets rules about how much you work and how many hours you're supposed to work, and every single studio goes over those hours, and that's the thing that they're talking about with going on strike, because there's been dangers and people dying because they've worked too long.
24 hours on set. Sometimes that happens, and and that's all they have. They got to finish.
Right. They got to finish it. And people are like, oh, well, the actors have to do that too. And I'm like, but they don't? Because I'm not going to say that the actors aren't working hard. They are. But when they're done with their scene, they go sit down. And that's when the gaffers and the grips and everybody else has to get up, move sets, move everything, do their stuff. And they're on their feet working 18, 20 hours and then have to turn around and come back and do it again.
Though I do think, what is it? Singing in the Rain, where the guy is dancing through the street. I mean, that was hard for him.
Oh, all that dancing? Oh, no. Like, yeah.
I mean, that would be an exception where, like, he is Gene Kelly is in it and just I think he got the flu years after going through that.
Yeah.
So I mean, depending on the scene, and I think they shot the scene for like 8 hours straight. So you put an actor in water.
And all the actors who had to do Titanic and Avatar and all that stuff. James Cameron is not nice to his actors.
No. Yeah. But I mean, there are people who, like all the crew people, they also got wet too because they had to reset and hurry up and wait, get it back happening again.
So here's my question. It goes back to the art house. It goes back to art, and cinema. And what in the world is it? Like, these people, when they're making a movie, what are they doing? Yeah, what are they doing?
Art house people or just people making movies?
People making movies. I mean, it's a huge question, right? They're in the zeitgeist. Like, when I think about a movie, I'm like, oh, a movie is a thing you see in a theater, and there's actors, and there's people that make the movies, and all this stuff, and storytelling. Ugh. But there's a bunch of other stuff. Like, the crew, when they go to, their extremely long hour days, and the grind, do they even know what the movie is about? Have they read the script? Are they making the same thing that, you see what I'm saying? The product, whereas in an art project, we're all on board.
Right.
So that's the question I'm asking. Hello, cat. Hi.
Oh,
he's like, what's up? Oh, both. Oh.
Yeah.
They split. Yeah. What in the world is a movie? Go.
Storytelling in a motion picture. I mean, if we want to get way down to the technical part of it, that's what it is. It is storytelling in another medium. It's you wanting to express this story with characters in a whole world building thing, and you're putting it out there for people to experience. And yes, the bigger it gets, the more people that are involved and the fewer people who know what's going on. But even if everybody hasn't read the script, everybody in their department knows what they're doing. Like, there's nobody walking around a set not knowing what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, they're not going to be on the set very long. Like, because every department has discussions about what needs to be done and what the scene is and where they're going. So they know the big picture. I mean, they're call sheets. Everybody knows what they're doing. So it's just a matter of, you might not have the director's vision when you're the second PA, you might just be there to be there because you're trying to work your way up.
So here's an idea of what I'm getting at. Let's say that we are cogs in a machine, right? Like, working for a corporation, doing your task on the day by day, and you know what you have to do. And the flagship, this enterprise, they have the videos that has the cool music, and everybody's looking like clean and in nice suits, and you're sitting there like all dingy and shit. Like, but you're a part of that. And they're like, come on, team, let's go. It kind of feels like movies are like that.
Yeah.
If you're a cog in the machine, you feel like you would steal from that company. Like, screw that company. You dig what I'm saying? What is it about?
I think what's weird is that it's hard to explain a film at a business level because the business part of film is not the same as the set part of film. And I always think in set terms of, like, when I'm on a set, that is a group of people who are working towards the same exact goal. They're all doing that thing. They're all making that thing. And the business is over here hovering, and it's probably represented by one person walking around on the set. Like, that one person is the studio representative. that's the business part. That's the part you don't care about.
I see.
Or the
Just like-
completion bond person is like in there.
Yeah,
like,
they're like, oh my gosh, are you done yet? Why haven't you done this yet? Blah, blah, blah. So, but it's like that kind of thing. But I think when you're on set, and that's how I think about it, because I've only been on like 2 major film sets. All the film sets I do are like indie, so it's like I'm just used to being this big family.
What are those sets?
I did a National Lampoon's movie when I was in grad school. Beach Party at the Threshold of Hell. I was the script supervisor on that. That movie was terrible, but a Baldwin brother was there. Don't ask me which one because I can't remember. I think it was Daniel.
They're kind of all the same.
But that was an interesting set. And then between graduation from Western and going to Chapman, I did oh my gosh, Story of My Life or something. I can't remember the name of the movie, but we were PAs. It was me, Angelique, and Kate, and we had to herd cows.
Oh, nice.
It was a big, huge Civil War scene, and we were there to make sure that the cows that were on the farm that they were using did not come on set. So it
You
was
were
a whole
literally
thing
herding
around
cows.
the fence.
Cows are
Yeah.
scary. Did they
It was
give you?
not cool.
It was
not
definitely
cool.
like a cow will mess you up. I mean, they're tall.
Yeah.
They're
It's a big
taller
animal,
than
dude.
you think they are, and they don't care. They're gonna do whatever a cow does.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of just making sure that nobody goes over the fence and making sure that the fences stay closed, and
Yeah.
don't let the horses drink the water that's over here because that's not the horse water, that's the people water. And it was,
Yeah.
yeah,
I worked as a PA on a couple of bigger film sets, and it was a nightmare. It was actually later on in my career, and I did it kind of on a lark, just to I'll do the thing, and I got pissed off because they wouldn't.
Well, you
give
were
any
over
of
the age of 20. That's what it was.
Well, they wouldn't give the extras any water. They sat out there for hours and hours on end. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start bringing these people water because like somebody's gonna get hurt.
yeah.
And it was, I'm not going to name the production, but it was obnoxious.
Because they realized that settling that lawsuit is cheaper than dealing with those people.
or
and
that
that's
there's
what
not
it
going to
was
be a
a lot of the time.
lawsuit. And people walked
right,
off
yeah.
that set like they were burnt red. Wind burnt red, sun burnt, and because they sat in the sun for 8 hours straight. So there's definitely.
Well, Ken, if you're gonna bitch about it this much, you have to out these people. We're trying to.
Oh,
we're
it
trying
was
to
a
get
Disney
canceled,
film. I
remember?
think it was Secretariat.
See how that worked?
Or s-
Oh.
I just pushed.
Yeah, it was Secretariat. It was like
Oof.
one of those racing days, and like they pissed me off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that movie had a lot of trouble. There were
Yeah.
jockeys got hurt on that movie. Some horses got hurt. That was a lot.
Grumpy Puppy is a new person to the chat, and they say,
Hi,
"Hi."
I know her.
Oh, do you do?
Oh.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Grumpy Puppy.
okay. Apparently, Dancing in the Rain, old dude had a fever of 102
Yeah.
that day,
I believe that. I believe it.
rocking and rolling.
Just it was.
So it's interesting, Faith. So-
Unsafe.
So to sum up, and correct me, please. To sum up what you're saying, it's two different things. You got the business side, and you have actually making the movie side,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But you got to have the business side, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think, okay, if we want to really go back to it, when the traditional way of art house is there is no business side. An art house film is made with the people who are on that set are funding it.
Yeah.
So
Like
Ken
if we
and
want
I
to go like right back down to
rolling
it.
out.
Yeah. That's
Nocturne
what that
is
is.
definitely an art house film.
Yeah.
There's
Mm.
no question
if we
about
go
that.
back way back, The Passion of Joan of Arc is an art house film, and that was
Yeah.
a silent film made in the 20s,
Mhm.
which is absolutely spectacular. And I know
I'm
that people
writing
are
it
like,
down.
"Oh, silent film," but no, see it. The Passion of Joan of Arc is amazing.
Well, actually, one of the things that I was going to ask you about, you mentioned about the difference between a movie and an art piece being perhaps a script, or, hey, here's what we're going to be doing today, guys.
Mhm.
What about silent films, such as a Buster Keaton style, where they just had an idea and they went and shot it.
This was early. This was like, because they were still like, what is this thing we're doing? We can make pictures
what I'm getting
move. Let's just make a thing. Let's see how it goes. But I still feel like they wrote something down. They were still like, here's an idea. Because if you're going to go on that, like if you want to do that,
long time ago.
Most Christopher Guest films are all completely just improv. Like here's the scene, go with it, and they just go.
But it's still a film.
Yeah.
So
there's a story. They put it together. There's editing.
There's a story. They're editing it. It's collaborative. Can we have a hard distinction between something that I would go to a gallery and see and that?
See, I don't think so. I honestly don't, because I think that would get into the nuances of what's a music video versus
a musical.
Like the music video versus a musical.
And yet
I think it's a matter of like you just have to look at the thing you're looking at and say, yeah, this is art. This is an art film, or this is film that is art. I don't know how to say that differently.
How about maybe that's a better question. So you critique films. So you know what films are, and you know what's good and what's not, and all these things on a technical basis, but also on your, subjective basis. So how do you gauge this is cinema, this is my mindset, I'm going into this cinematic piece, okay, this is art or an art film, blah blah blah. How do you, like, what is the goals of these things? What are the goals of these things?
I literally think the difference is character. I don't think that an art installation film is as concerned about the character development and the character connection as they are about the visual connection. There was an art piece at the Frist Art Museum in Nashville. It was gorgeous. It was different musicians in the same house, in different rooms of the house. And there were cameras in each room of the house. And when you went into the installation, you stood in the room and each camera had a different video on the wall. And all the sound pumped in. So they were playing the same song. So if you stood in the middle, you were hearing it as a big orchestral piece.
Wow.
But if you walked closer to one of them, you could only hear the bass, or you could only hear the violin. That felt like this was something they were trying to create in a visual auditory sense. There was no character. There was no
experience.
Yeah, there was no beginning, middle, end story going on. It was an experience. And I feel like that's the difference. Even though you can have an experience in a movie theater, obviously, but we're connecting to characters and we're telling a story that has a distinct beginning, middle, and end.
I like that. So character and character development, we're getting in stories, we're getting into cinema.
Yeah.
All right, we can go off that. Grumpy Puppy asks you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, for everyone, but we're going to say to you. What movie is overdue for a remake? Also, what movie should never be remade? This is for Ken and Faith.
I'm going to answer the never be remade because they're talking about it and I'm going to riot. I will flip over every table. Back to the Future.
Oh,
Don't touch that movie. Do not touch it. It's perfect. Leave it alone. Don't ever.
But you could...
Nope.
Rebooting.
Don't ever.
But you could make crazy. Ken, I'm about... continue.
Nope. There was nothing that you could convince me would make Back to the Future worth remaking. Like, I can't. No. Like, I would even, a movie that I honestly think is a perfect movie, Shawshank Redemption, I would see a remake of that before I would have Back to the Future happen.
Interesting.
And even Shawshank would be kind of against the rules too.
Why is that?
Why Back to the Future?
Why would you? Yeah, go on.
It is the perfect movie for the time it came out. It is like the quintessential 1985 movie.
For the time.
for the
Interesting
time.
context.
And when you watch it now, it is the nostalgic 19, like that's what I'm like, that's the 80s. There are so many 80s films, but for me, that's the 80s. That is
So
what that is.
why shouldn't we make it with a woman as the lead, okay, and a someone who is not Doc Brown, doesn't look like this person, has a different? Why don't we add more diversity to that? Wouldn't that be relevant today?
Okay, so there's a movie. I have to look it up. I'm going to cheat because I don't remember.
That's all we do here is cheat.
This is cheating.
It's all. It's
on
cheating is okay in
Netflix.
this.
It's on Netflix. It is called See You Yesterday.
See you yesterday.
It is a time travel movie. The lead character is a Black teenage girl. She creates a time machine and she goes back in time. That's as close as I want you to get to remaking Back to the Future. See You Yesterday is amazing, by the way. So if you haven't seen it, see it.
Oh, yeah.
If you like Back to the Future, you'll love it. This is it. This is what you do. Like, you take the idea of Back to the Future and you play off of it and you make a movie that represents people today. This
Boom.
one, it talks about gang violence. It is about sibling relationships, about different gender best friend thing. It's great. I didn't need a remake of Back to the Future because somebody went and made that.
Yeah.
Right.
So do that instead.
Well,
Don't.
Context. I dig that.
Yeah.
It's a time travel movie, and time travel movies have been around for. Back to the Future was not the first time travel film
Yeah.
that came out. So I mean, they were doing
It
that.
was the only one, Ken. The only one.
Long before.
There is a movie that I would say I would like to see remade because when it came out, I was like, they were so close. Gattaca.
You don't like Gattaca?
It's so close to being good. So
I
close.
love it so much, though. So what did you not? It has Gore Vidal in it. Why did
Gore Vidal is amazing, but still.
Why did you?
Honestly,
Why did
I would
you,
even have the same cast. I just need somebody to rewrite that script. It just didn't quite land for me.
You could have. So that's a story, and in fact, Ken, tell me if I'm wrong here, or Faith. Was there a miniseries or something that's based on Gattaca?
Yeah, when I was looking it up, I think there's.
I think there is.
There's
was it on the Sci-Fi Network?
So
no idea.
I'm
it's not
sure.
The movie.
That almost worked. It was so close.
It's like a Philip K. Dick style.
Yeah.
Like you could do so much in that universe. So many stories could be told.
I think it was the wrong time period. I think that's why I would remake this movie because, and I still want it practical.
Yeah,
I'd want it to be practical.
Everything
it looks so
really dated in this film.
But it's supposed to.
Remakes, and this is going to hurt you if you don't know about it. They're doing a Time Bandits.
Oh, really?
Dude,
like movie or show?
It's a TV show. I think it's Time Bandits.
Okay. I actually am not as hurt by a TV show.
Yeah, interesting.
Weirdly.
Okay, so
yeah,
why are you not as hurt by a TV show rather than a movie?
Because it's a different medium, and sometimes if people think a movie didn't quite work because they didn't have enough time to tell the story, 6 hours is better than 2.
Is it British, Ken?
I don't know.
Oh, please be British, because if it's an American, it's on Apple.
It's an Apple.
Okay,
TV.
never mind. Apple's doing it. It's gonna be fine.
But I mean,
Apple has nailed the TV show. Like they've done some amazing work.
Who knows?
But I hope that answered your question.
Are they gonna have little people? Because Time Bandits has a bunch of little people. That was like a big part of the cast.
Yeah.
It
looks like they're playing a lot of clips from the original Time Bandits.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that's a big
part. The original movie.
God, that movie was so awesome.
So it's very. Oh, it's a fan-made trailer.
Fan-made trailer.
It's maybe there's nothing out, so we just kind of watched a fan-made trailer because I don't see anything.
And then,
well, I will keep an eye out for that because that'll be interesting.
I think they're gonna do the Lord of the Rings thing. There's no. They're gonna do special effects, smaller.
Wait, what?
This thing says
Forced
Time Bandits
perspective.
reboot has no
Right.
actors with dwarfism. Is what it
I
says.
mean, get Peter Dinklage in there. What are you doing? Come on.
He's busy.
no,
Can't do everything.
He can't do everything.
I mean,
they
he
did
would do
And
remake
there are
Willow.
plenty.
Sure.
There are plenty of little people who
I don't
are
think they
actors who
should've.
are amazing.
They remade Willow, which I think at the time was a really great movie, and it wasn't a really great movie rewatching it. But I think when I was a kid and I first
Willow's
saw
great.
it,
Yeah.
but then they remade it, and it's worse. They just doubled down on it.
Because they were trying to stick to that nostalgia, and it doesn't work. And I think that's what would happen with something like Back to the Future. They would still try to tell that exact story that they told in the 80s. It's not going to work.
Because
it's not going to work the same.
We don't have the optimism or the cocaine of the 80s. I mean, we just have meth.
I'm sure that we have the
that's the clip
cocaine of the
right there.
80s, but it's just not as prevalent.
That's the clip. That's the clip right there, Ken.
We have the optimism or the cocaine.
So what did you think? What did you think about we'll call them remakes of the Star Wars movies?
We're not calling those remakes. Jesus.
Oh, you don't think they're remakes? You're right. They're shit. Continue. What do you think
they're
about
continuing the story or developing the story? Or they're more.
Look.
They're adding story.
Episode 9. Episode 7.
Hold on a second. You like
8
episode 9? You like episode 9?
Because people who like episode 8 don't like episode 9, and people who don't like episode 9 liked episode 8, and I hated episode 8. Hated it.
Okay, episode 8. Episode 8. All right. Why did you dislike episode 8? Let's get to that first.
It was overinflated. There was too much going on. We didn't focus correctly. It didn't follow the line that was set with 7.
Sure.
Like we were going on this storyline. We had already set up that Finn might have
should have been
had some force going on.
Should have been yeah.
And then why did we do the whole Casino Island crap thing? What was that? I don't.
You know what that was. You know what that was.
I don't even want to.
You do know what that was. But continue. Continue. We know what that was, but continue.
And when you find out, or before you're even done with the film, or before it's even released, one of your main actors dies.
Yeah.
Change the Skywalker who dies. Like, I was so bothered.
Because you wanted
Luke
what
dying
everybody else in the whole planet
keeping
wanted.
Leia alive, and then doing that stupid whatever they did in the last one, when they could have killed Leia. Like, they had the perfect moment
to
kill her in that movie, and they didn't.
But it was unceremonious, right? That was in like the first 20 minutes of the movie.
And I almost liked that it was, because it was this idea that she only had this much of the Force. Like, she had a little bit of Force while Luke got most of it. So her, like, that was just like, oh my God, why does she have so much Force? Like, why is she able to survive that?
So let me fanboy in here really fast. I know it's a different universe, but here's the fanboy thing. Leia is stronger than Luke. Okay. So the idea is she wasn't trained by Yoda and shit, but Leia is a badass. She's a badass in the Force. And here's the thing. The reason people went to see the Star Wars movie is because they were fans of the Star Wars movies. Right? So when people roll in and they're like, nah, the Force is, female and fuck the fans. I'm like, right, but the fans are the reason you're making the movie.
Yes.
So you got to go with the fans a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Even the fans were like, Leia she got blown out an airlock or whatever out the bridge, and then she Mary Poppins her way back. That's
how I found this
clip.
I typed in Leia Mary Poppins moment.
It's just, I don't know. And what makes me even more disappointed is that Rian Johnson is a good filmmaker. I love Knives Out. I love Brick.
That's great.
I love Looper.
Yeah.
You liked Looper.
I liked Looper.
I want to stay on Force. I want to stay on the Force really quick.
I'm just saying that I just feel like this is a glitch for him. I was like, I don't know if he just went crazy and he's like, let's put everything in it because I want all this stuff.
He was on the meth, not the cocaine. I don't know.
I don't know. It lost its way. I think that's why I didn't like it. And it just bugs me.
You like the
Leia
first
thing bugs
movie.
me.
You like the first movie despite Han Solo getting killed.
Oh, okay, we don't even talk about it. Here's the funny thing is, I went to the bathroom with that part, came back, asked my friend, I was like, what happened? She's like, oh my God.
They killed.
Wrong
They killed
time.
him. Okay,
I missed the wrong thing. But
Here's what I wanted.
I'm still mad.
Here's
And
what
I know
wanted.
that, yeah.
Continue, please.
Harrison Ford wanted that so bad. And
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
like,
did.
I swear to God, he just wants to go into all of his old franchises and kill his character. So he can be like, that's it. We're out.
Right.
So AI doesn't get remade with AI.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He is anti that 100%,
I
a million
think
percent.
all 3 of these movies, they killed the main characters wrong.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have killed the main characters. The main characters are the story.
Yeah, I think if you were going to kill Han, it had to be in a different way than that. I do like that Ben did it. I think that works.
Yeah.
But I think it should have been in a moment where Han was doing something huge and Ben had like absolutely no choice and did it. Or in his head had no choice and did it. And I think I don't know. I'm just still mad about how
So
Leia
different
died.
situation. It was like it was forced.
Well, it was unceremonious is what it was. It was forced.
Forced.
It was forced.
Instead of
like,
oh, you
and
son of a
Luke's
bitch.
death was and Luke's death was so wrong. I don't know. I'm just and they just completely he was useless.
I didn't believe that even
movie.
He needed
really
to be
died.
useless. He needed to be useless.
I didn't believe he
Did
died.
he though?
Yes, he needed to be useless. Okay, so Force Awakens. There's a YouTube guy that talks about how the names of all the Star Wars movies are actually wrong.
They're wrong.
And-
They're absolutely
Oh yeah, no, they
incorrect.
should have been flipped. They should have been flipped.
Okay, Force Awakens. I like the movie. I like Rey. I like Rey. I don't
So
like
Force
she
Awakens should have been
touches-
episode 4. Is that correct?
She touches on Mary
No.
Sue. She touches on Mary Sue.
Yeah.
In the first one. And I'm talking about in, I guess, episode 7.
Yeah.
She touches on it, but I liked her. Here's my deal. You finally bring in Finn, okay? And from the previews, what I thought Finn was going to be the dude that he's some guy who suddenly has the Force.
Yes.
And it shows it, and this is the thing. Now, of course, you get into diversity here, okay? Fucking awesome. It just made sense for the story. He's this stormtrooper. Well, Han Solo was a stormtrooper, okay? Han Solo was, this is deep lore shit. Han Solo was a stormtrooper. He was a fighter pilot. He leaves the Empire. His whole like stripe on his pants, that means he was part of the Corellia whole, it doesn't matter. The point is, Finn is kind of like the new Han Solo.
Oh, for sure.
Boom! Motherfucker's got a goddamn lightsaber. You could have so much, and people would have bought it because you invest yourself in those characters. You still have the old characters.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. The way that Force Awakens goes down, my family, we leave the theater, and I look at my mom, and I'm like, was that a good movie? And my mom's like, That's where I was with that.
It was a roller coaster.
Last Jedi. Why do you like episode 9? I gotta ask that question.
Okay, so first of all, I will talk about.
Can I just add one little moment? Yeah. Before, so in Star Wars, if you watch any of the clone stuff,
Mhm.
you know, the newer clone films, I guess the whole story arc of one of the latest animated clone films was a stormtrooper, or I guess they were a clone that had the Force. So I don't think that's too far away from what they were going for. I think the answer to why Finn didn't is that they changed the writers, or they just went in a different direction, or they wrote by committee, or it's Disney, and it doesn't matter. Nothing means anything.
Right.
You don't have to do lore. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
I have some big, huge. I am not happy with what happened in. Why did I just lose it?
Last
Lost
Jedi.
my train of thought. Okay, sorry. So, Rey being a Palpatine, bleh,
That's
gross.
stupid.
Gross. That was stupid. The kiss, I almost threw up in my mouth.
It was
That was so dumb.
incestuous. Yeah.
It was so dumb. Like, why? I was like, you took me out of the moment. You just had this badass fight. He came back and he did his thing. I also didn't need him to have a redemption arc. I didn't care. I was like, leave him bad. It's fine. It's kind of poetic that his parents were such good people, and he turns out he went full on dark side. And what I wanted was for her to be the light and him to be the dark, and then we get the balance, because we've been trying to get balance this whole time, and I was wanting that to be the end. And I almost thought they got it. I was like, they were so close, and then they did that kiss thing, and I was like, I hate you. But overall, it was entertaining. I had fun. I wasn't angry, except for that like 2 seconds. But I was like, okay, yeah, I'm here. This was fun. I enjoyed it.
So it was kind of like eating oatmeal in the morning when you get like the little like brown sugar packet and you're like, oh yeah, it's fucking oatmeal. That's not Star Wars.
Well, you know what? I would like to say that the main movies, no. I love Solo. I know nobody does but me. I love Solo.
What did you like about Solo?
Rogue One is so good.
Rogue One is great.
Rogue One's amazing.
Good.
Rogue One, I could fix Rogue One. It's amazing. I could fix it. You ready? You ready for it? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. You gotta choose. You got Jen, who's the female character, and you have Andor guy. Okay? Make them the same fucking person.
Oh yeah.
Jen is Andor.
Yeah, that would have been great.
And it would have been a woman lead who has real problems, who's fucking interesting. Make her the same fucking person.
Yeah.
That's it. Also, it would line up with what the trailers had going on, where she's like a double agent, you know, if she's good or bad, boom, boom, boom. Instead, she's kind of a rebel, she's good, okay, they all die, Deep Impact style. Fuck you. All right. The only reason people liked Rogue One, the only reason, in my humble opinion, is the very end. And I'm talking about the fans. Because we get to see the nut shot of Darth Vader, and we're like, fuck everything else. That's it.
I didn't care about that. I did not.
Really?
I was like, I would have actually not wanted to see that. I knew where it was going. I think that's what makes it interesting. It's like Apollo 13. You know what happens in Apollo 13. You know history. You know what happens in that movie is still interesting. And I think Rogue One is still interesting, even though I know every single person on the screen is going to die. I was like, I know you're all going to die.
Yeah, it was interesting.
But
it was compelling.
The blind dude. Do you think he should have had the Force?
Well,
yeah.
He should have had the Force at the very end when he's like trying to like. He should have been able to force the lever.
I was
down.
actually waiting for it. I was like waiting for him to defend. But okay, but seriously, the best thing that Star Wars ever made is Andor. That series is the best thing.
I've done some monologues from it, but I have not actually.
It's so incredibly good. Like it's
okay.
It's hands. I would watch that before I'd watch any other movie ever.
Grumpy Puppy says, honestly, I think they're giving us. So I had asked the question, what do you all think about the Star Wars now? Honestly, I think they're giving us too much with all the shows. I don't need to know every piece of historical lore. The dozens of books are there for the fans who want that. They also say, I loved, in big capital letters, Solo.
I think Solo's pretty good.
If you could, there's totally a picture of us. I am dressed as Lando, and she is on. We went for Halloween as them from Solo.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Buckmud says the Vader scene, though, talking about Rogue One, shivers. I only cared about the Vader scene. I still only care about that scene. Okay. So that's my fix. That's my fix for Rogue One.
The obligatory
Solo.
Apparently, we gotta talk Star Wars every single episode.
Yeah, dude. How in God's name did you like Solo? Tell me how you like Solo, please.
Donald.
Tell me how I can like Solo too.
Donald Glover.
Oh.
Donald Glover.
Fair.
Donald Glover.
All right. Well, enough said.
And Donald Glover. Yeah, I just needed young Lando. Seriously, I needed it to be the Lando movie.
How about you just make a goddamn Lando movie?
Yeah.
Make a Lando movie.
I'm here for Lando.
Dude, so I wrote a game. It's on this shirt. It's called DreadLore. All right. One of my buddies, it's like Dungeons and Dragons, but if you care about story. One of my buddies, a guy named Punksicle, all right, has written down these stories and these modules he should write. You guys should convince him to write games in Star Wars. And he wrote this whole story that centers around Lando.
Duh.
Think about the stories of Lando Calrissian.
Oh, they're
That would be
epic.
amazing.
That's a show.
Yeah.
God damn.
I hope Donald Glover
Charismatic,
does it.
awesome.
He's talking about it. He wants to do it. And there's a great novel, Last Shot, that's about Han and Lando. It's so good. And
That's what
listen
I'm
to the
talking
audiobook if you can, because the guy who does Han sounds exactly like Harrison Ford, and it's creepy. I only have like 10 minutes left. Sorry,
Yep.
guys.
Well, we got to talk about your projects.
Okay.
We got to
so
talk about
real-
you.
What? Let's do it this way. What?
Okay.
What is scary to you?
What's scary to me?
Yeah. What frightens you? I don't know if this is a great way to. Maybe I'm coming at it the wrong way.
Oh God, I used to say failure, but that's dumb because I failed a lot.
Things that
and
you
it's
can't
not
control
scary anymore.
outside of you. Like, what makes a good horror content?
Oh, okay. I have a very, very specific thing that scares me, and it's very weird. We won't work in a podcast at all. But I hate dark open spaces with a flashlight. In 28 Weeks Later, there's a whole scene in the subway, and it's dark, and it's like a 5-minute scene with that flashlight. Unnerves me. I cannot handle it. It's the worst. I hate it. I can't even drive on dark streets with my headlights on. I have to put them on high beam so I can see better. I really, really hate flashlights in the dark. I can't do that. I would rather
Well,
be pitch black.
Okay, that was definitely different than why make a podcast that a fiction podcast? What tell us about your
Why?
podcast? Yeah, what
Okay.
was the inspiration for that?
So the one I'm doing right now, Apollyon, that's my third show. It's sci-fi. It's got 2 seasons and 2 miniseries. You should all listen to it. Listen anywhere that you get podcasts. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the other
Message me that
podcast
really
stuff.
quick.
So it is about a pandemic. Okay. It's about the aftermath of a pandemic 30 years after a pandemic that killed 75% of the population. So we're talking millions and millions and millions of people dead. 30 years out, this virologist has found possibly a vaccine for this virus. And it's that story where we start with that, but then it becomes this whole, what does the world look like when you're trying to repopulate, when you're trying to keep people healthy, when you don't want any more people to die, and the government is adamant about keeping people healthy and adamant about getting out the right drugs. So it becomes a whole thing. And P.S. I started it in 2017. And I did release it in 2020 thinking, is this a good idea?
I know
I have
you
people
were
who
like,
haven't listened to it because they're like, that's a little triggering. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
get it. I
Good.
understand.
Good. That's what you
You
got to
were-
have.
But
you were
Yeah.
releasing content that I thought was like perfect place, perfect time. And you did the research. I mean, what are some of the things you did to research this podcast?
So what helped in releasing it in 2020 is that people were all up in everybody's business about viruses and virology. So the American Society of Virologists has a website, and you can contact them. And I contacted them, and she sent me a list of every American virologist who was willing to talk to the general public. And so I emailed a bunch of them, and I got 2 of them to respond. One of them worked for the National Institute of Health, and another was in the private sector at a university. So getting both of them to basically science check my script. So I'd send it to them. They'd be like, nope, you need to say this. This is how we would say this. And they would science check my script, or I would ask them questions about how they do procedures. So a whole lot of the science in it is accurate science. And, I might have fudged it a bit because it's 150 years in the future, so I could get away with that. But I tried to stick with science talk. My actors hated me because they had so much science to say. And they're like, what are these words? I'm like, just say them. Just go with it. You don't have to understand it. But yeah, I got deep in the science here. I'm a research nut.
Now, how
do
did
tons
you
of
fund
research.
this?
I did a crowdfunding for the first season. We did the pilot. I told everybody I can't pay you yet, but if we do this pilot, we can raise the money. And we raised money for the first season, and I paid
How'd you
everybody.
raise the money?
We did it through I Fund Women, which is kind of like Kickstarter, but it's for women-led programs. And we raised $6,500, which was a little shy of what I needed, but I made it work. Everybody took a pay cut so we could make it work, and I didn't pay myself for the first season.
Good.
And
You're
then
not supposed
season
to as
two,
a writer director.
I know.
You do all the
And then
work and you
season
don't get any money.
two,
Good job.
yeah, we did another campaign, but it was a slower campaign. I did it through Coffee, KO-FI, and we just slowly raised the money that way, and that worked out. And because I'm on a network, I'm on Realm, I have commercials on my show, so I get ad revenue, so that helps fund part of it too. So that's where we're working right now, is that our campaign for the third season did not succeed, so we're still working at getting to that $10,000 mark.
What mark are you at right now?
8,000. Yeah, we got.
So you need $2,000 to make this season.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, where can they go and gift you guys some money?
observerpictures.com/fund.
All right, let me type that down really quick.
And you can
go on.
It'll take you to our Patreon, where you can join. You get bonus content, and you can join for X amount a month. You can do a one-time donation through Coffee, or you can buy merch. We've got tons of merch. So all of that will get you to our different kinds of funding.
All right, I have posted it in the thingamajig. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so just listening to the show, honestly, if you have no money, listen to the show, because ad revenue. So just listen.
Yeah, share, like. I think that's something that we talk about quite a bit, like and share. I mean, I think a lot of the content that we make, I mean, I don't fund other artists, but I always make sure to like and share, and it means so much.
It does. And I know that people think, oh no, I was like, if you like a show, put that shit on social media, tell everybody you know that
go to
you
Apple
liked
Podcasts, like it. Go to all of
Spotify has a whole Q&A. I love when people leave me little notes. And I'm like, oh, thank you. But just an example of just talking about a show and helping a show. I don't know if you guys know Archive 81. Do you know the show Archive 81? It's a pretty big audio drama fiction podcast, from back in the day. It's one of the OG shows. They listened to my show, and in the credits of one of their episodes, they're like, hey guys, go check out Boom, which was my first show. I went from my measly little 500 downloads to 20,000 downloads in a day.
What?
Oh, wow.
Because they said, hey, go listen to this show.
It's called Archive Video.
Archive 81 is the show.
81.
And I owe them so much, because that was the most insane number jump I've ever seen. And then it just stayed there.
Yeah,
and
good.
grew. So it wasn't like this weird peak. So I was talking about luck gets you there, but talent helps you stay there. I think I made a good show, and people obviously liked it enough to keep listening to it. So then my audience grew from there.
And it's interesting. It's got a lot of sound design. It's compelling acting. I know we're running short on time, but tell us how you got some of the actors into the moment, into this.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Apollyon was my weird show, because my first show, Boom, everybody was local, so everybody was in the Nashville, Kentucky area. So I brought everybody into studio. But Apollyon, I wanted an international cast, and there's just no way for me to bring all these people into studio. So I have people in. My producer reminds me regularly that we had people in 8 different time zones and 5 countries. So it was a matter of working with all of them individually. My leads were local enough that we went into studio. So they got to be in the room together and act off of each other. And it was really great. And it's interesting trying to get a stage person or a film person to act in front of a microphone. You have to put it all in your voice. and getting them to push emotion out through their voice is a different animal. Like it's so
voice
interesting
acting
to see
versus
them, to see them do that. So it was really just letting them live in the scene. And as a director, I always write big character biographies. So everybody gets like at least a page about their character. So they know the backstory, they know what kind of person this is. So when they go into the scene, they know who that person is.
You should run some DreadLore. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
My brother-in-law said the same thing. He's like, you need to do it. And I was like, I don't know.
You'd be awesome at running a game. You should run our game this coming Monday. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, so we create these characters so that when I come in and we're directing, it's pretty easy because instead of me saying, I need this emotion from you, I remind them how the character feels. I'm like, Gabriel is really upset in this scene because of this. And then they can shift and do that kind of thing. So that's what I try to do when I really get into these characters. And Pamela, who plays Savrine, if you ever listen to the show, that woman is like a powerhouse. And I am in awe of everything she does. She is in India. We're 11 and a half hours apart. It is near impossible for us to get on the phone at a time that's convenient for either of us.
Right.
So for this past season, I just sent her like a long email giving her notes for each scene she was in and just let her do it on her own.
Wow.
And in the finale of this season, she has this epic speech and nailed it in a take. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was so good. It's like, so when you hear it in the show, that's her first take. Wow. And it's insanity. I'm like, I'm just so proud of all the actors. They're so amazing.
Logistics wise, I know you gotta go, but we're gonna keep you as long as possible.
Okay.
Logistics wise, so you got your main people going, your leads.
Yeah.
Do you wait for the other people to record their stuff so that the leads have something to play against?
Actually, I do it the other way.
Okay.
The leads are in studio first because their performances, the higher up they are on the call sheet, the more important their performances are. So I get their performances first so that I can work with the other actors to play off of that.
So let's say your leads are doing a scene and there's, this cup of bourbon that's talking and has like 2 or 3 lines. Mm-hmm. Do you just read them to them or okay.
It's either I read them or I have a reader in the room.
I see.
When we did one season, I actually brought in a friend who was an actor because if I'm reading it, this is what they're going to get. Hi,
Yeah.
But if you have an actor sitting in, she was emoting and giving them something back so that they could play off of that. So, so it helps to have a reader, but if I don't, I don't.
Are you in this podcast? I mean, it would be silly if you weren't. Not even a little bit.
I'm not. No. I think I might. No, I don't think I'm an Apollyon at all. No, not at all. But I am in Boom.
You got a great podcast past.
Oh gosh, everybody's like, do the thing. And I was like, no, I do voiceover work I host a show called Epic on a Realm. Mm-hmm. And I have to do the voiceovers for that. And I scream. How much I have to be on mic. I'm like, I hate this. It sucks. So no, I don't like acting and stuff.
So we have the link for your all's fund page. Anything else we should have like to promote, the artists or your next project?
Yeah, what's
you're
next?
Trying to get your season 3? Like, what's going on?
Well, I've got a secret project. I have signed contracts that I cannot talk about, but I'm very excited about it.
We don't care about contracts.
I will say it's horror. I could say that much.
Good. All right, you should run good. What?
First time delving into that, so I'm working on that script right now.
That's what this game is. Horror.
And I have another project that I haven't signed any contracts yet, but I probably shouldn't talk about it either. But I'm doing a kids show as well. Nice. So I got a kids show coming up. I am doing a horror, and then eventually, once all that stuff is done, I will be coming back to do season 3 of Apollyon. And then I have a mini series that is a time travel art heist.
Oh, nice!
It is called The Year-Long Weekend. I don't know if that's on my site or not, but yeah, I'm working on that. And time travel in a podcast is probably 20 times harder than time travel. in a film. Like, oh my gosh, trying to explain time travel with only audio is super interesting.
Question. Do you have extra sounds or is it just voices? Do you have music? Like, what do you do?
Oh yeah, there's music. I have a music supervisor. You can see there Joshua Sui. He is my ride or die sound designer. He is spectacular at his job. JSSaudio.com.
Yes, it's audio.
He's amazing. He does great work. I have a music supervisor. Yeah, we have.
Hey,
I have an insane library.
If you
of
need
sounds.
any music, I know a guy.
Yeah. I'm always like, music's expensive, so
It is
I
expensive.
have
take
been
a cut rate.
I have been told
Go for it.
that there's this company called Couchfire Media
Uh-huh.
that can do editing,
They can.
and DJ Knopfley
Nope.
can do music.
Nope. Wrong.
No,
It's all lowercase
Listen.
letters.
listen, DJ
Every
Knopfley
week.
should make his rise again. I'm just saying.
Right.
Anyway,
But yeah, now I got a lot
Faith-
of soundscapes. I'll send you a Dropbox or something if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, please.
Faith, last words, because we know we've kept you over.
Yeah, and we'll keep you for another hour if you're not careful.
Yeah, we'll keep you forever. I have
But yeah.
an entire bottle of bourbon.
Observerpictures.com. Please visit, watch all my stuff, listen to all my stuff. My mantra is to create more, because creating crap is better than creating nothing. So keep making the stuff you want to make, and people will eventually look at it and love it. So,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely would
interesting.
love to do a collab with you if you are interested. We should meet
Yeah.
for coffee at some point.
when I'm not doing like 800 things, yes, let's do
Yeah,
it.
no,
And I'm in Bowling Green like every Saturday during football season. So
Are you really? You
Yeah.
go to the games?
we have season tickets. So
Oh wow!
I'm in Bowling.
I'm in
Yeah.
Bowling Green 2 weeks a month.
all right, cool.
So we'll go. Maybe we'll go to a game. Get coffee or talk more.
Will
about
you
it.
guys hang out? Make something, goddammit.
I've never been to a
Faith,
football game.
if you have
a Western
time,
game.
it doesn't sound like you do have time, but if you do have time, we would love for you to join one of our Monday night
Oh yeah,
or
it'd be
any
awesome.
night
It'd be
games.
great. It'd be
Come
phenomenal.
in, join. I would love. You would be so good at running a game,
Oh,
but you
for
could play in one. Play in a game. you a
Everybody's
book.
trying. Like I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, well,
It's
how
real
about
time.
this?
You
How
do
about
it. You
this?
do it
How
in
about
real
this?
time. It's real time.
Oh my god.
How about this? I don't like competing with everyone, because everyone else, is everyone else. If you want, let us know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
You
absolutely
will play the character of your dreams. Anyway,
Woo.
all right. Yeah. Aphorism, a riddle, a joke, a motto, etc., etc., etc. Tell us.
Besides the create more thing, I
Yep.
don't have
Digging
any
deep.
great. Oh, I could tell you one of my kids' terrible jokes. So, knock knock,
Who's there?
doctor.
Doctor Who.
Exactly.
All right, Ken, it's on you.
Well, thank you, Faith. Do you want to take a break and come back, or do you want to? What do you want to do?
Oh, you mean you and me?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna lead her out, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, we'll lead you out. All right. So
All right.
you're welcome to stick around for the madness from the two of us. But until then, thank you, Faith, for being on our show tonight.
Yes,
the
thank you
Geeky
for
Gamer
having me.
Geeky
I love
Gamer
it. I
podcast.
wore the right shirt, obviously.
Oh yes.
Definitely.
Oh yes, you did.
Score by all lowercase letters. Mr. Interrupt. Thanks for our Patreon support. Tim Roberts, Daniel Hulker, Nostalgic, and Natalia Cline. Media and art production by Couchfire Media, and also Trois Reblay Productions.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not really
or
sure who they are actually. We should fire
whatever
them.
it is they do. Tonight's
Mm.
awesome guest is Faith McQuinn. Make sure to take
Faith
a look
McQuinn.
at her website, Observer Pictures, and listen to the podcast. You're gonna have to say the name for me. 'Cause
Apollyon.
Apollyon. It is
APOLLYON.
It is phenomenal. Good acting.
Thank you.
Really great story. And it hits
And
close.
they're looking
it hits
for that
close. It hits hard.
season, baby. Go in
Yeah,
there
looking
and
forward to
fund
it.
them so they can make that shit.
Just need
Yeah, let's get it there.
$2,000. All right, we're gonna take
Yeah,
a break
definitely.
and come back. Maybe, probably, possibly. Who knows?